Is there any public comment? All right, if not, approval of the August 4th, 2021 Public Safety Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by
Yes,
Supervisor Mask. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Supervisor Opel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 4, policy issue discussion and potential committee determination, none. 5, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, or resolution, none. We'll go right into 6A, educational presentation, outcomes monitoring reports, and morgue task force update. We have Craig and Jess here, so go for it.
Matt, this is Craig.
Go ahead, Supervisor McEwen.
Thank you. As far as any updates, like I said, I'll let the medical examiner, Jessica, let the committee know. There's been a few updates since the last time we presented it, so I'll let Jessica inform the committee on those. Thank you.
All right, so since our last presentation to the Public Safety Committee, we had a morgue task force meeting in mid-August. At that meeting, we had Somerville architectural firm there to go over the space needs analysis, which we looked at a condo space at Aspirus Wausau Hospital that they offered, actually across the street in the Liberty Mutual building, compared to new construction. Based upon recommendations from the architectural firm and a lot of limitations, the board task force committee decided that the condo space at Aspirus was not a feasible option. So we are now looking only at new construction. What we had learned through the process working with Somerville is a lot of limitations to trying to retrofit an existing facility or any building in that matter for this type of facility, given you need to have negative pressure areas, you need to have floor drains, you need to have everything airtight in your autopsy area. And to do that in an existing facility is going to cause a lot of limitations, and also the layout limitations of being in an existing facility are very difficult to work around. So at the morgue task force meeting, the morgue task force had all agreed to moving forward with new construction options. So since then, Marshall Clinic had identified potential land that they would like to discuss further for us to be located on their campus. Aspirus is also currently looking for potential land options. And we're also looking within the county-owned land to see if anything will work for us. So we're hoping to get a location identified as soon as possible to keep the project moving forward. We also will plan to do an educational presentation to the entire board in the near future to discuss the goals of the project, why it's needed, and also provide a good financial outline of the operations. I think that's about it. Any questions?
Any questions by the body? All right, thank you, Jess. Thank you, Craig. We'll move on to 6B, the bug tussle broadband expansion update, and I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you. We've been trying to keep the county board informed of progress and initiatives relative to expanding broadband services in the county. We've been working with a company called Bug Tussle out of Hilbert for over the last years and various proposals. We partnered with them with Public Service Commission grant applications, and they have floated a concept of trying to take a lot of the components of the Design 9 study that was done for the county and build it into a fixed wireless with expanded fiber backbone. And with us today is Mitch Olson from Bug Tussle, who will give an overview of the program. This issue will be before the county board for action At our September meeting, one of the asks is for the county to authorize bonding, an initial bonding resolution associated with securing or capitalizing that. Bug Tussle would be committed to pay for that, but we would be using our faith and credit to back those bonds up. And we've had discussions, and Mike has been involved in those, Kurt, Lance, and Christie, in the review of those documents. But we wanted to make sure that all the committees that had jurisdiction were informed, and there's a component that may impact public safety. So, Mitch?
Thank you, John. As he said, I'm Mitch Olson. I'm with Bug Tussle Wireless. We're an internet service provider out of Green Bay. In the past, primarily, we've focused on fixed wireless infrastructure in rural markets because that's where the biggest need is, and that's kind of the niche we understand. As the market has shifted and the grant dollars, both at the state and federal level, have become available, we're expanding our network offerings into fiber, and Marathon County is kind of leading the way as far as our proposal is concerned with what we want to do. We submitted a grant application at the end of July for a $20 million, roughly $20 million project, which includes the construction of 18 towers, as well as, I have the number here, 215 miles of fiber. So with the 215 miles of fiber, we'll be able to plug in about 2,100 customers off of that initial route, with obviously the potential for significant expansion down the road. With the 18 towers, we'll be able to provide service to as many as approximately 15,000 customers in rural Marathon County, people that are without service or with very low levels of service at this point. The specifics of the route are open to some input from the county. We have a meeting actually with Jerry and a few other people tomorrow to discuss the county's needs as far as the fiber route and the fixed wireless coverage so that we can optimize the broadband expansion contemplated through this proposal. Like John said, we're planning on funding this project through a bond issuance wherein we are effectively borrowing the county's credit for the purposes of issuing municipal bonds. We'll make all the payments back on those bonds, and we'll make a payment directly to Marathon County of 40 basis points on the outstanding balance of those bonds for their trouble. In addition to that cash payment to Marathon County, we're also reserving 24 of the 144 fibers that we're putting in exclusively for the county's use at no cost for the lifetime of the bond, as well as space on the tower for anything that the county wants to hang, which might relate to this committee as far as the public safety network is concerned. The scope of the project, we expect that the towers would be up within a year or two, and the fiber would be installed within 2 to 3 years. There's obviously some moving parts there as far as the availability of fiber and kind of the rush on putting it in everywhere, but we're pretty comfortable with getting it done within that 3-year timeline. I'm better at answering questions than I am at predicting when they come up, so if anyone has anything, feel free.
If I could just supplement his comments, one of the advantages of putting you talked about fiber in the 215 miles of fiber, but the fiber is running to the towers to support them. That reduces the latency and increases the speed of service to the home. And so they will have offerings above 100 megabytes per second available to people through the towers, and obviously more if they're fiber to the premise. And so tomorrow, Jerry and I and others will be meeting with them to talk about it. But there may be, in the future, discussions about how they may take advantage of certain potential locations for their distribution system, which may include some of our towers and or facilities, and also the capacity of us or the ability of us to use their facilities. So we wanted to make sure the Public Safety Committee was aware of those opportunities and potential discussions going forward. And we're also excited about the 24 fibers that would be available to the county to help us connect some of the government buildings and increase services within within county government and support to some of the local units of government along the way.
Real quick on slide 14. That is the map I'm talking about. Is the blue the actual fiber? The blue line, I assume, is fiber?
I don't know what slideshow you're looking at, but the map I'm looking at, the fiber line is blue.
Would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slide in your presentation.
Matt, the fourth slide has the
Okay.
fiber route on purple, and the sixth slide that you're talking about is actually the coverage that would come off of the,
What's the blue line, the light blue line?
so each of those, go ahead, Mitch, you want to explain what that is?
That map is an RF propagation based on that proposed tower site. So we'd be able to provide coverage at the signal strength based on, obviously, the proximity from the tower, but that's,
No, I get that. I want to know what the blue line going to all of these towers, is that an actual,
yes.
that's the actual line? Correct? That's fiber?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I just want to double check. I don't hear that
The
very
easier
often.
one to see the fiber, though, is the fourth slide.
Yep, I get that. I just
Oh,
wanted to see what
yeah.
it corresponds to with the,
The reason I was not pointing at that is the colors of some of the highways are the similar color, so. Okay.
okay.
So like we'd mentioned, is we're open to moving the route wherever it needs to go for the
Yep.
county's purposes. There's some discussion about a school in the northern piece of the county and any other county facilities, highway buildings and things that are possibly not on the current route, but the county has an interest in passing.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead.
I just wanted to fill in that I met this morning with Captain Milhausen and his team, and Sarah from Raycom, Sarah and Burl from Raycom. They're our microwave provider and support and company, and talked through a little bit about what this is going to look like. We're going to be working with them tomorrow specifically on it. I'll give you one example of where this is going to be beneficial. They recently built a tower just north of Little Chicago. If you go north out of Little Chicago, you go up a big hill. There's a cell tower on the left-hand side that's brand new. That's one of theirs. That's on their fiber path, and that's a tower where that's a tower that we want to be on for paging. So mainly like fire department paging, volunteer firemen, and we would be intending to put any equipment that we have on there to the north towards Hamburg, where we have some coverage gaps. So that's just kind of an example of how it would get used.
One of the strengths of the bug tussle proposal is that they're partnering with AT&T and other cell phone providers. So, increasingly people rely on their cell phones for their personal computer. And this not only will increase the broadband and the internet access, but it will increase, hopefully, cell service throughout the area. So it's a double win for us. And particularly in the area that Jerry just alluded to, that was an area where a year and a half ago, we had a joint hearing between Public Safety and the Infrastructure Committee talking about problems with the frontier lines not being supported and the old cable breaking down and people not having alternatives for cell phones. And from a public safety perspective, there were significant concerns. This goes a long way in addressing many of those concerns.
Any questions for Bug Tussle or John or Jerry from the body?
This is Supervisor Mask.
Go ahead.
Which one?
Supervisor Mask.
Okay. You partially answered my question already about the people in Western Marathon County. So they are going to have to wait 3 years before they get any kind of help?
No, the fixed wireless coverage will be available on a much sooner timeline than that, and that's the biggest reason why it's still worked into this program. Through the grant monies that are becoming available, at some point in the future, everyone is going to have a fiber to the home connection. At least that's the federal government's goal, but that's going to take anywhere from 3 to 10 years for that goal to be realized. So in the interim, we'll install the fixed wireless network, which will bring at a baseline speeds of 25 meg download and 5 megabit upload to everyone within range of the tower, which includes a very significant portion of Western Marathon County, and that'll be done as soon as we can get the towers up, which is usually about a year. There's a regulatory process that just by definition takes 4 to 6 months to work through. So between the site acquisition timeline, the regulatory timeline, and the construction, it usually takes us between 9 months and a year to put a tower up.
Thank you.
Further questions? All right, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Just to, as this, again, to say where this is going, this will be before the HR Finance Property Committee next week for approval of the initial resolution. We've had it there before, and it will be before the county board at the informational meeting on the 16th and for a vote on the 21st. So we will be partnering with Fond du Lac County in the issuance of those bonds, and we're running it through our bond council and financial advisors as well. But that will be the ask of the county, and the opportunities are laid out as to where we can work with them and deal with some of our shortages. We wanted to make sure you were informed. So thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you.
And we will need a 3/4 vote because to get it above the line for the due to statutory constraints and levy limits and other things, although it will not be applied to the levy.
Right, thank you. We got to make sure we have enough people at the meeting.
If I may.
Go ahead, Lance.
And this is Administrator Leonard, and building on what Supervisor Robinson just referenced, there's a reason we're going to, that John and Mitch and Steve are going to many of the committees of the county board is precisely that. We need a 3/4 vote to move this forward, and we want to make sure, first and foremost, everyone understands what this proposal really entails, what the county is signing up for through the proposal, and what the potential benefits are from the proposal, so that all those questions are answered, so people feel very comfortable when they are casting their vote, because again, this is by Wisconsin statute, requires a 3/4 vote of the board.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to 6C, continued discussion of Public Safety Committee strategic plan objectives. So I think we'll do is we'll just go through each supervisor that's on the call and see if you have anything to add to what I had on my list and just get your thoughts on everything. So first, let's start off with Craig. I mean, you got to look through these now. Did you see anything that I had spelled out in my little report there with the color coding? I even did little drawings for you, Craig.
No, it looks great, and like I said, easy to understand. So I appreciate that, but I don't have anything to add to your list. I don't know what the other supervisors have, but thank you.
Al, did you have anything you wanted to add or any discussion? Al, you're on mute. All right, well, Brent, you have any discussion?
No, I looked at it. I thought the list was very comprehensive, so thank you.
Jean, did you have anything you wanted to add to the report?
Not right now. My biggest list now is the priorities that we need to be following up on.
Okay. All right, good.
I'm here too, Matt.
Oh, I didn't see you. You're not on the board. Oh, you are. You're just hidden by the, go ahead.
I have nothing to add.
Well, I know I didn't do that adequate of a job, but hey, thanks anyway. Thanks, guys. So anyway, if you come up with something or you want to add something, get a hold of Administrator Leonard or myself and let us know. or even Tasha to put it on the agenda to talk about. If there's anything else you guys want to see in the future, let us know for sure. With that, it was a pretty short meeting. Oh, what do you need to discuss? So, Jean, did you want to, we'll jump into C2. What do you think we would need to discuss? You said you had a list.
Well, we have to, I mean, we listed our priorities, but we also have to prioritize what we want to follow up on. Am I mistaken?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not,
So,
you're
you
not
know, I mean-
mistaken is what I meant by that, Jean.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. So the biggest one, the first one on my list was the 911 access to the rural areas. And obviously that's being addressed right now with bug tussle and some of this other broadband, the issues coming up with that. But I have supporting large events in the county, following up on body cameras and new vehicle cameras with wider view for the sheriff's department. Continued support of the CWNT, which is Central Wisconsin Narcotics Task Force. Continue to support diversion for offenders in drug and alcohol. To continue supporting CART. And of course, the regional morgue, which I am very much in support of. Those are all under 7.1. I've got a couple under 3.3, which includes ACEs and proxy and PASS and trauma-informed care.
Okay, that's great. We'll start looking at some of those things and actually have some presentations on all of those things at some point here then in the next couple months. Anyone else have stuff to add as far as things they'd like to see discussed in the next couple months?
I guess I do, Matt. This is Al.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, a few towns and one village got together last night and discussed if we're going to be, if one of our mission statements is to be the healthiest, safest, and most prosperous county in the state of Wisconsin. We were talking about the consolidation and possibly a countywide coverage of fire and EMS services. So that might be something to talk about.
Sure. Yeah, we'll put that through to, I'm sorry, drawing a blank, our EMS guy. Phil, yep. Okay. Anyone else?
Matt, this is Craig.
Supervisor McEwen.
Thank you. And I was going to just follow up on what Al said, because if you look at 7.1 outcome measure, number 1 is by December 31st, 2022, emergency response times for public safety services, law enforcement, fire, and emergency medical services will be decreased. And I know the sheriff's department had changed their when they page out fire departments, they give them a certain amount of time, 8 minutes, and I think they reduced that so that the response time is less. But as Supervisor Opel said, as far as trying to combine services, EMS services in Marathon County is something that I think everybody's a little reluctant to discuss, but it is a good discussion, and with emergency management, they probably could add some comments to that or some ideas to that too. But I think that's definitely something, just because of the size of Marathon County, that should be studied. And like I said, I'm not insinuating there should be a study, but I know that's very important, and that's one of the outcome measures that's in the 7.1. So thanks for bringing that up.
The one thing I'd like to add is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. I want to make sure we move forward with that. Obviously, that's something we'll keep on a monthly basis, giving updates because of the report out we had on that, and I think that's very important. We did a lot of work to actually get to that point, so that's one thing I guess we'll keep bringing forward. Anything else people would like to add?
Matt, I have a question that's for Lance.
Go ahead.
Lance, are the crisis beds open at North Central?
You're referring to the crisis hospital, the adult inpatient hospital?
Yeah, Yeah, because I had asked about the youth psychiatric hospital last month, and you said that that was on the agenda yet, to be done yet. But what about the crisis beds for adults? Yeah.
So my understanding is that the adult crisis hospital remains open. It's actually they're beginning the renovation, which is, I believe, phase 3 of the overall renovation of the North Central Healthcare campus. But it's going to continue to operate during the period of construction. So I don't believe there's any impact to the operations, I should say the operational capacity of the adult hospital. But I can certainly check on that, but I believe it's still open.
And what was the timeline on the youth psychiatric hospital?
I believe that's open as well. The youth hospital is open. We had a report at the North Central Healthcare Board about the census, the number of children that are in the hospital, and it is below the capacity, so it hasn't been full as of yet. But I can get a report can ask someone from North Central to come by and give an update to this committee on the inpatient, adult, and youth sites.
Thank you.
Matt,
Go ahead, Supervisor.
have we had any updates also on the jail renovations?
Go ahead.
The jail renovations with respect to the roof, or which renovations are you referring to?
I guess the roof and I forget what else they were trying to expand.
Well, they did quite a substantial renovation approximately a year and a half ago.
About a year ago. Yeah.
But that is certainly long completed. They are doing some work, as I understand it right now, on a portion of the roof. If the committee would like a report on that, we can do that. I don't believe it's had any impact on internal jail operations. It's had some impacts on parking around the courthouse, but nothing from the internal operations of the jail.
Okay, that's okay. I just remembered something about that. I thought we had a presentation on it from Chad or somebody.
Well, there was we had to shore up because there was some sag in the floors. That was about, and they shored it up, and then they re-poured and they did some other structural repairs. But that was about a year and a half ago, and those are all completed. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is Donna Krause, Supervisor. I was wondering what the situation is in Marathon County with COVID. If we're heading towards an emergency situation, what's the status of the ICU beds and things like that at the hospitals?
I don't have that information. I don't know where we're sitting.
I don't either for this meeting. If you want to reach out to me after, I can see if our health officer can get in touch with you and provide you the information that she has.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anything further on 6C, number 2? If not, Lance has a complete list here, and we'll start putting them on our agendas and going through those. Okay. If not, we're down to 7A. Committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussion. Like I said, always open. If you guys want to have something discussed, let me know. 7B, next meeting is Wednesday, October 6th at 1:30. Is there anybody that has a conflict with that? Okay. If not, I will take number 8.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Lamont or might have been Opal. Oh, no worries.
And otherwise I have to come in a half hour early. What I was wondering is on the previous meeting,
Yep.